Okay, hi. Welcome to another episode of the Quilty Friends podcast. Now, this is my friend Melissa,
Hey.
and I don't know you very well.
No, we don't really
We don't know each
actually.
other very well.
No,
It's
but
like a
we've run
super-
into each other.
Yeah, it's a very social media relationship,
Mhm.
and a very you helping me display my quilts relationship.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
So we're
Yeah.
going to talk about all that as we get going. So thank you so much for coming down.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
So, first of all, who are you? Tell us about you.
Yes, so I am Melissa Delian Mason.
Okay.
I am a modern quilter. I quilt all the things. That's my Instagram handle, quilt all the things.
Oh,
that's what I
hold
want
on.
to do.
Let's put that up. I
Oh,
forgot.
good idea.
Hold on. I have a way to do this. Hold on.
Okay.
At quilt all the things.
Underscore. There's an underscore at the end.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I try to do like capitals on the name sometimes
Instagram
to-
doesn't care.
I know they don't care, but it kind of makes it easier to differentiate the words.
Yeah.
That's for my old man brain. Quilt
Oh,
all
the things.
the and then underscore things
Things.
like that.
No. Things underscore.
Oh, quilt all the things, then underscore.
Yes, that's the one.
All right.
Sometimes I mistype and I write quilt all the thongs. That's a different one.
Does anyone have that?
I don't know actually.
Oh, hey, if you're
Yeah.
looking for a handle for your
That one's available.
thong business,
Yeah.
flip flops. It's for flip flops. Not
Flip-flops.
that. You guys,
Yeah.
not that kind of
Seriously.
thongs. How old are you?
I just turned 40.
That's very young still. You know that, right? 40.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
nice of you to say because it's weird. I feel like I've like turned a corner into like a new phase of life.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it, but at the same time I'm like, man, 40, that's an age.
Yeah.
Like
it
that's
is.
a thing.
Yeah. Wait
Yeah.
till you turn 50.
You're not 50, are you?
Yeah.
Really?
51.
Oh wow.
Going on 52.
He looks good, doesn't he?
Thank you.
That's amazing.
I'm a dork. When I turned 50, it
Uh-huh.
was like this magical switch
Uh-huh.
that turned off everything about everyone's judgments. Not everyone's, but
Mm.
other people's judgments.
Yeah.
I'm getting the kind of chill. So it's like you don't give a flying
I like that for
anymore.
you. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. I feel like that's kind of the way I always have
that's
been.
good.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the things other than that.
There's got to be like a healthy balance, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay, you remind me a lot of my niece Lexi.
Uh-huh.
I wish I had a picture of her, but I'll show you later.
Okay.
So my sister has 5 girls.
Uh-huh.
They're like my own kids.
Yeah,
Almost,
that's
they're I
nice.
love them so much. But you
Yeah.
really remind me of Lexi.
Yeah.
So
Is she redhead?
she's not a redhead.
Uh-huh.
My brother's girls are redheads.
Okay.
But you have a Lexi. We call it the Lexi face.
Okay, Lexi face.
Yeah.
Lexi face.
So cute. Thank
Yeah.
you for being here.
I have 4 kids. They're all redheads.
4 kids, all
Mhm.
redheads.
Yeah.
And
And they all
what-
look like me, so I think they have Lexi faces too.
What are their names?
Our oldest is Finn. He's 15. We have 13-year-old twins, Rhett and Lucy. And then we have a 6-year-old named
Willa.
Willa.
That's cute.
I know, she is cute.
I don't know if I've ever seen pictures of your kids.
I'll have
Do you
to
share
show
them on your
you.
social medias?
Not really. I share Willa sometimes because everyone's in love with her. She's 6. She's adorable. She's in a wheelchair, but she like dances in her wheelchair.
I saw that,
And
okay.
like, yeah. So
I
she's
saw
just
that.
like, everyone's in love with Willa.
Yeah. Oh, that is
So,
so cute.
Yeah, my older ones are teenagers. So they're like, leave us off your social media, mom. So,
Well,
yeah.
that'll
fair
go
enough.
away when they're about 40. Don't worry. It's
Right,
fine.
yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
All right. And you said anything else you want to share about yourself? You love to quilt all the things.
I love to quilt all the things. I am in graduate school right now for social work. So that's taken over my
You
life.
said a practicum right now.
Yeah. So I'm a direct therapist in a high school in Logan
Oh,
right now.
nice.
Yeah, it is. I really love it.
Now, is that what you want to do? Is work in the school system?
Well, I don't think so. So I've tried this one out because I wanted to know if I liked teenagers
Uh-huh.
because I love my kids.
Right.
I love most of my
Naturally.
friends' kids. But in general, I'm just not like a kid person.
Okay.
So I know I don't want to work with little kids. So I wanted to know if I could work with teenagers, and it turns out I love teenagers.
Oh,
They're
nice.
fascinating. It's like, such an interesting, hard time of life. So
Yeah.
it feels like a privilege to be able to kind of work with them through it.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I don't think I want to work in the school system because It's tough. There is no support for mental health in schools. I mean, not enough.
Not enough.
So that's frustrating, I think, as like a professional, but
right.
I definitely want to be there for kids outside the schools.
Outside the school system.
Yeah, that's what
you said something that I wanted to talk about, and I forgot. That's fine. It happens.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So yes. So I'm doing a practicum. I am towards the end of my first year of the program. It's a 2-year program. And so, yeah, life has been crazy.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Yeah. So how long do you have left?
So I will be done.
You said towards the end.
Just over a year from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So just got to make it until then.
You can do it.
I can do it.
You can do it.
I can do it.
Okay. Anything else you want to share about yourself in this moment?
No, I think that's me.
All right.
In a nutshell.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
you. Okay. So how do we know each other?
Okay. So I was trying to remember this because we run into each other constantly.
Right.
But only for like snippets.
Yeah.
We met at a Salt Lake Modern Quilt Guild meeting.
Okay.
A long time ago.
Come down
the only one I've ever come to.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the previous topic for just 1 second?
Absolutely.
You talked about teenage years.
Yes.
How were your teenage years?
They were good.
You liked them?
Yeah, I did. I had middle school was a little tough. I was very awkward and like unaware, like no self-awareness whatsoever.
Oh, I still am.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Fine.
Like, what am I saying? Did I grow out of
Just
it?
kidding.
I don't know. No, but in high school, I was lucky enough to kind of find my people and my thing and be like oblivious enough to not like kind of go through that grinder that
like you didn't care too much.
Not too much.
Okay.
No. Maybe I should have cared more.
No, I think you did great. I didn't love that experience.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many things about it that were so hard, especially like this community is very challenging.
Yes.
There's a lot of very wealthy people, and we were not that. And so I always felt like I was on the other outside looking in on the wrong side of the tracks. And I mean, still like, my parents did great, but anyway, that's how I always felt. That might have just been me or movies or something. I don't know.
Yeah, isn't it funny? Like, because I think it's a real thing, but I think there is like a movie thing about that, right?
Right.
Like that, that feeds into us. But I think it is a real thing, like these socioeconomic lines, and we internalize it. But then I think it just exacerbates it when we see it in media. Because for me, it wasn't so much movies; it was books. I remember like I read so much. I still do.
Yeah.
And I think I had like this. Looking back, I had this idea of like who should hang out with who,
right.
And so I'm always telling my kids, I'm like, don't set limits on yourself that don't exist.
Exactly.
So I think that was my thing, is I was like imposing these boundaries. And I wish I'd been more open, maybe.
I wish I had done something.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you, where did you grow up?
I grew up in South Texas, McAllen, which is on the border of Texas and Mexico.
Okay.
It's a really, really different place from Utah. First of all, Utah is very white. I'm not just talking about the snow outside, because there's a lot of
it's super white
outside.
I wish we could show it to you, but I can't flip my camera around.
Yeah.
Melissa drove through a blizzard to get here.
Yes, I did.
I think it's very white, especially like Bountiful. So I live in Bountiful.
Well, and Bountiful has like that extreme kind of socioeconomic thing.
Yeah.
I think.
But like my high school, there might have been 2 or 3 people of color, and you knew who there was one family that adopted a people of color. So everyone just kind of assumed, are they, are they one of those family?
Right.
And so I didn't grow up seeing color at all. I just didn't grow up seeing it.
Right.
We traveled a little bit, but, we traveled a little bit, but I served my mission in Washington, D.C., so I got to see it a lot better there.
Yeah.
And I love New York. I love to travel. So I think traveling really helps to broaden your horizons and stuff. But my friend and I tell this story all the time. My friend and I went to New York. I took my friend Amy to New York, and we were on this train from the airport into the city, and we're the only white people on the train. And I was like, yes, I love this,
Nice.
Because there was just
great.
And that's what I love about that is there's every color, every shade, every nuance, and
it's beautiful, isn't it? Like
it is.
So much life and humanity.
There is. That box of crayons that Crayola made that has all the different skin tones.
Yeah.
Do you have one of those?
I don't have it.
I was going to give you one.
Oh,
and I
cool.
thought maybe, we're going to find it before you go.
Sounds good.
I thought you might like it.
That's awesome. I would love that.
Okay, so
I've definitely seen those.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I want to talk more about that.
Yeah.
and your
Crayola crayons?
No, sorry.
Because I could talk about crayons.
I know. No, all the stuff that you've done that you were did for QuiltCon.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw you talking a lot about that.
Yeah.
So should we talk about that right now?
Sure, whatever you want to do.
Let's talk about it right now.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so QuiltCon 2023 was just 2 weeks ago, right?
Do you still feel like you're coming off of it? I feel like I'm still kind of coming off of it.
Well, my QuiltCon experience is very weird.
It was. I heard about the Park City thing, and you had an angry mob, and it just sounded awful.
It was just so weird.
And then you traveled like a million places before you came home.
Yeah, I was on 6 flights.
Okay.
It was just fine.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And luckily they were all great. Didn't miss a flight or
But there's something about airplane air that like sucks the life out of you, right? I feel just so like I feel like the hollows under my eyes when I get off a plane.
Right. Actually I went to see my friend who lives outside Cincinnati in Kentucky. And I spent 3 days with her, like 4 days with her.
Nice.
Doing training for her team at her shop. She has a little shop out
quilt
there.
Shop?
Yeah, a quilt shop.
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she has a handy quilter. And she's like, will you come give me and my team some training? I'm like,
cool.
heck yeah. And it was so great. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
And she's just the sweetest. I'll give her another shout out. Kelly Nicely.
Hey, Kelly.
Around the Corner Fabrics in Kentucky. I had it.
The town?
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Outside of Cincinnati.
No offense, Kentucky.
No offense. Oh my God. And she lives on this beautiful farmland.
Kentucky's really pretty.
Gorgeous.
I went to Paducah a couple years ago and I was just like,
I've never been to Paducah. Where's that?
Paducah. It's the quilt town where the National Quilt Museum is.
Yeah. And is it in Kentucky?
It is in Kentucky.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Now as you're looking at me, I'm like, is it? No, it is in Kentucky.
Okay. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Because I stayed in St. Louis. Okay. And then I drove to Paducah.
Right.
And it was like an hour or two away.
Okay.
Anyways,
I need
really
to go.
Cool. Like a whole town like around quilting.
I love that.
That's kind of cool.
The band and were you there for the parade? The band?
No, I didn't go for Quilt Week or anything.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
No. Yeah.
I want to go for Quilt Week because it's
too.
Out of control.
Yeah, I heard it's really cool. I have a quilt there this year in Quilt Week. I know. Isn't that cool?
This girl has quilts everywhere, though.
No, they travel more than I do. It's true.
I love it.
Yeah, they're always
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, back to QuiltCon.
QuiltCon.
Okay, I'm going to talk about... Can I just talk about my feelings of QuiltCon really quick?
Please, I'm all about feelings.
Okay, thanks. So my first one was Pasadena, which I had my quilt in, which you...
2018?
2018.
That was my first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
Did we see each other there?
I have no idea. I was so oblivious. I was so scared of talking to anyone. Yeah. So no, I was silent all weekend long.
So it was very overwhelming to me because there was so much of things that I love. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it was like,
that's how I
felt. Oh my God, I'm getting the chills again.
Yeah.
There were so many things, like every quilt on the booths, the quilt on the booths, when you walked into that center and those quilts that went like this, pink, orange, yellow.
The challenge quilts.
Yeah, the challenge quilts on every wall.
That was my experience too. Like I walked in and it was like angels descending and singing. I was like, my people, my
Exactly. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, thank you for that. Yeah. I love that. And then, I went and found my quilt, took a picture, and I was like so overwhelmed. I went and got lunch so I could come back, like just recharge a little bit and get back into my body. Yeah. So, but then after that, so since that time, I feel like I've put too many limits on myself. I can't just make a quilt for myself. I'd have to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm really working on like, this quilt is for me. And if anyone happens to like it, then that's okay.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to finish a quilt to submit to, does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, why haven't you been able to finish it?
I'm frozen.
Because I get like the starting it and the like why you're doing it part.
Right.
But you're not
but I can't get past the, this isn't good enough for the judges or something, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
which is appropriate that you say that because the judges' feedback for QuiltCon came back today. I had 3 quilts in this year's QuiltCon, so I was just reading my judges' feedback before I came down.
Oh, should we talk about that in a minute?
Yeah, sure.
If you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Do we make a list of everything we're supposed to talk about?
Yeah, make notes.
But yeah.
Sorry, but your feelings.
No. So since then, I just I'm working really hard on it, but I just want to go back to sewing for me.
Do you feel like QuiltCon, like the show is the lens you're looking at it? But you're like
sometimes too much.
Yeah.
Which I don't.
No, I totally get that.
I don't want it to be.
Yeah.
But it's still somewhere like back here.
Right.
So there's a book that's by Elizabeth. Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yes.
Magic, Big Magic. Have you read that at all?
No.
Oh, I think you'd like it.
Okay.
It's about creativity.
Okay.
And she talks about don't write your book for someone. Don't write your book for someone else. Don't make your movie for someone else. Don't make your quilt for someone else.
Yeah.
Make it for you first.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really working on.
I need to work on that too. You know, when I was just talking to someone a few days ago about doing small quilts because I'm like, I don't have a lot of time right now, right? So I feel a little overwhelmed. And she's like, well, why don't you just make small quilts? And my first thought is like, well, I can't submit that to QuiltCon, which just like, that's so limiting.
Well, I'm right there with you too. Yeah. I love to make big quilts.
Yeah.
Like my dream is like, I want mural size quilts.
Oh, that would be amazing.
You know what I mean? Like I want, have you seen Bisa Butler's, any of Bisa Butler's work?
Not in person.
Not in person.
Oh, I would love to.
But there's like these huge things. Yeah. Not like gigantic, but they're just so big.
Yeah.
And that's what I want is
like an art, I think Irene Roderick, who's an improv modern quilter, I think it was her, showed a picture of her design wall, and she had something that covered a good 20-foot wall.
Oh, really?
Just it looked like a mural, and I'm like, how do you do that? Yeah. First of all, I only use a domestic machine, so that's not even possible for me. So.
Well, I have a long arm, and we could collab if you want.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's do it. Let's do a mural.
Yeah, Victoria.
We'll take up a whole wall of QuiltCon.
They have a size restriction.
They do. That's right.
But Victoria Finlay Wolf, did you see that one that she did? She did like a big hexy flowers, but it was like a big enough for a fence. It was like 20 feet long as well.
Oh, I don't think I saw the long one.
Oh yeah, she made this huge one. And then also shout out to, I'm really good with names. Shout out to my friend who lives in Australia.
Great home of modern quilters.
I know.
I don't know what's in the water, but
something. Well, they just anyway. There's more. I think they were just born into a more free, thinking society. Oh. Does that make sense?
So not kind of fenced in by.
Yeah. So my brother served his mission there, and everything they say is "No worries, mate. No worries, mate."
I mean, that's a good philosophy,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be more Australian.
Let's be more Australian.
I can't remember my friend's name, but it'll come to me in 5 minutes, and I'll have to come back. It's fine. Okay. Anyway, so I want mural quilts.
Mural quilts. Let's do it. Let's do a mural quilt.
And somebody told me about one other one that was in Cincinnati at the museum. I can't remember the artist's name, but it was by an African American woman, and she had made these gigantic, full size wall, big old things. I want to go see those.
That's really cool.
Okay, back to you.
That sounds overwhelming, but wonderful.
So tell me about your experience with QuiltCon.
So 2018 was my first one, and it was. Where did I go? I didn't really know modern quilting was a thing, and there was an article in the paper that year. I think that was the year there was an article in the paper in the LA Times. So I'm just reading. I lived outside of LA, so I'm just reading the paper in the morning, and there's these incredible social justice quilts.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, how is this a thing? I never knew this existed. And I was so excited. And I saw it was in Pasadena that weekend. And
and you were in LA. I
was in LA.
Oh.
I don't think I went that weekend. I think there was that. And then it was back in Pasadena a year or two later. And that's when I went.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All I'm conflating the Pasadena.
That's okay.
But yeah, no, it was the same thing. I walk in and I'm just color, real color and people talking my language. And, it was just it was such an exciting thing for me. And so I signed up that first one for classes pretty much every possible time slot, Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday morning. Anyways, I was so wasted by the end of it. I was so tired. It was a terrible idea. But I think I've gone to everyone since then, and just have for the first few years, just kind of did a mix of classes and went to lectures. One year I did the lecture pass, and that was the best because I could just sit in the pop into the hall whenever I wanted. And then the last 2 years I've taught and lectured there, which is a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
I love doing that. I really do. So,
I don't know how you get into those gigs, but I want to do that.
You just propose it.
Okay.
I'm the biggest proponent of telling people how to propose it and how to be a part of it. So let's get you in.
I don't have a paper here.
What's your lecture?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll figure something out.
Let's talk about it. Okay.
Making for mental health. Because that's my focus.
I think I proposed something like that.
You did?
I think I did.
Oh, well.
Yeah, because for next year I was I should take this social work therapy thing. And,
right.
Okay, so let's talk.
Let's talk.
I mean, who knows if they'll even take it. There's a lot of people doing really great stuff with mindfulness.
Which is great.
It's awesome. So we'll see. Anyways.
How many quilts have you had as what do they call it, accepted into QuiltCon?
I had one year. I had 4 last year. I think. I should remember that. I feel like a total like a-hole.
It's okay. You don't need it. It's fine.
Yeah. So many that I can't even remember.
They're just what do you mean all those quilts?
Oh, so many quilts. No
one's thinking that.
I had 3 this year.
Nice.
So yeah.
And you just got the feedback.
I just got the feedback.
And how do you feel about that?
It was good. The first year was the first that I had one accepted. It was the first time I'd ever gotten feedback on a quilt.
Right.
And it was a little hurtful. Because I never had a quilt actually judged before.
Like, wait a second, this is my baby.
I know. And it was about the quilting. It's always about the quilting because I quilt on a domestic. And until this year, I quilted on a crappy domestic.
Oh.
So I knew my quilting was bad. But even so, when they were like, your quilting is inconsistent, I was like, screw you. Who died and made you quilt police? Anyways.
I've been there. I've literally been there.
It's a little hurtful. And then, I don't know, after that, I was just like, meh. So this year the feedback was kind of interesting. I did get one about the quilting on one of mine, and I was just like,
all right,
too bad. And then one of them got some really cool feedback.
Nice.
Yeah, it was all positive and really interesting. And then the third one was kind of an experimental quilt.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those where like I was just like, say yes to every crazy idea that comes in my head.
Which one was that?
It's the one, it says, I'm large, I contain multitudes. Yeah. And there's like fabric spilling out of it. There's like an actual quilt under the quilt.
I love it.
Thank you. And
I
use reflective threads. So when you take a flash picture, it like shows like different stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, but the judges were like, this is interesting. They're like on something, they're like, that was an unusual choice.
Oh.
I was like, yes, it was.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Success.
You think that's negative, but I do not. So so for the most part, it was fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've had a few that I had one quilt that I wanted to try something with it. I just wanted to try a different technique.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. As well as I thought it would.
Yeah.
And then like somehow it got this giant stain like right in the center of the quilt.
Man.
Like in the center of the quilt.
Cut it up.
I didn't. I tried to bleach it and dye it. So it's been bleached and dyed.
Yeah.
And then I was actually thinking of submitting it. I was thinking of binding it and submitting it this last year.
That'd
but of course I didn't get that done.
Yeah.
I was gonna call it It Just Didn't Work.
Nice.
But it's still interesting. Like I'll show you the jacket. I just turned it into a jacket.
Oh, smart. See, there you go.
Exactly.
There was one this year that the name cracked me up. It was like, quilt, whatever the name was. Then it's like _version 2 _ parentheses 1 _ final final.
Yeah.
I saw that. Like, okay, that's
that was awesome.
Yeah, that resonates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have an idea similar to what you submitted.
Yeah.
I saw this mural in Atlanta. I'm like, how can I turn that into a quilt? So that's my goal for this year.
Is that like your constant like thought process? Because sometimes that's mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where else I get frustrated is I have so many ideas. I've had so many ideas for a quilt. Yeah. And I'm just like, I can't figure out how to get them all out of my brain.
I know. How do you like design? Do you do it on a computer program? Do you sketch it out? What do you do?
Just in my head. Yeah. I usually just start sewing.
So what I do is, because I have it's like a fire hose, and so I just open up Illustrator. Sometimes I'll just type up notes or do like a quick sketch, on there, and then I just like save it and put it away. Yeah. So then when I'm like looking for a project, I find
you're like, oh, wait a second, this is a cool thing.
A lot of like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, that wouldn't work at all.
I'll usually start sewing something.
Yeah.
And then, make it. I love making blocks. I don't know if you knew that, but I love making blocks. I love just sitting down and just sewing and pushing the fabric through the machine.
Yeah.
And so if I ever get stuck, that's what I'll do. Is I'll just sit down and start going, okay.
Yeah.
That's why I like all the strips. So I was showing all my strips.
Well, and you're comfortable with improv too, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm not. See, I'm a planner. So that's why you can just sit down and do it, and I have to like do it on Illustrator first.
Yeah. Yeah. But some quilts lately I just like started cutting blocks in half and doing that. Cool. I'm like, screw it.
Just like, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I just have a hard time getting them from the beginning stages to that.
Yeah. And then you're afraid they're going to disappear if you don't get to. No,
well, I mean, it happens though.
Yeah.
That's why you should read that book, Big Magic. She has a really funny story about it. So
okay, I'll check that out.
It could disappear, and that just means that
maybe it wasn't a good idea.
It wasn't. Well, no.
Or it was genius and would have been the best quilt in the world, and you're like crap out of luck.
Well, it could be that because like she believes that ideas are in the atmosphere and they're looking for a creator.
Okay.
So they go looking for a creator. So you get an idea for a quilt, and if you make that quilt, then you got the idea.
Okay.
But if you don't make the quilt, maybe that quilt has 10 different artists or 10 different quilters looking to make that quilt. So sometimes we go to QuiltCon and I'm like, yeah, I had that design in my mind 4 times ago. Yeah. You had that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's the same thing. You know, it's like, and there's nothing really new in quilting, you know, like you look at the quilts of G's Bend and you look at the quilts of the Amish.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's what someone submitted to QuiltCon last week, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, rarely do you see like real innovation, right?
Yeah. It's just we're all just doing our own take on something, playing with it.
I don't know that I like the ideas floating around thing.
You don't like that?
It creeps me out a little. Like, first of all, I'm a little possessive. Like, I'm like, my ideas aren't going floating to someone else.
I kind of want to tell the story. So Liz, what's her name? Gilbert had the idea for a book. And she wrote out the notes. It was like this really cool idea.
Yeah.
So she wrote out the notes, and she does her notes. She does her quilting on 3x5 cards. Or, I mean, her books. Her writing. Yeah, does her writing. Sorry.
She, like, writes a whole book on there?
No.
Her ideas.
Yeah. Her ideas, or she catalogs them with 3x5 cards.
Okay.
So she had this idea for a book, and it was about, and then something happened that sidetracked her life. So she had to put that into storage. She put all her belongings into storage.
Did somebody else write it?
Somebody else. Well, somebody else wrote her book. So it was a girl, as a friend that I'm still getting the chills. So it was a lady that she's friends with. I can't remember the artist's name. Sorry. And she said, "Oh, I'm starting a new book." And Liz Gilbert, right? Their whole relationship was built on letter writing, handwritten letters. So they're writing letters back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
And so the friend said, "Oh, I had this idea for a book." And she goes, "Oh, it sounds interesting. Well, tell me about it." And she goes, "Oh, it's just still in early stages still. I'll tell you about it later." So they met up again for the second time ever. And she said, "What's your book about?" And she goes, "Oh, your book was first. You go first." And so Liz tells her the storyline, you know. And the lady said, the lady looks at her and she said, "You've got to be fucking kidding me." Sorry for the language. Direct quote. And she goes,
wasn't like, "You stole my idea."
No. And she goes, "Why? What's your book about?" And she said, same storyline.
Wow.
Like same exact storyline.
Okay.
And she goes, okay. So she said they backtracked into as women counting back to when they get pregnant, you know, like where did that idea? So they thought that idea probably transferred from her to her.
Okay.
At this time they met before.
Interesting.
And she goes, "We thought it was exchanged in the kiss, you know." So I think, and she says that's why she goes on about it. This is a total sidetrack, but she talks about that's why you wake up and see the movie you had the idea for is now made into a movie. The idea you had, somebody made your idea into a play, you know. Somebody saw your quilt at QuiltCon because that idea came to you first. Yeah. And you didn't take action. So see, get it? I don't want to stress you out.
No, you're not stressing me out. I just don't think I agree with that.
Okay, well,
I think people just come up with things,
right?
And sometimes we just come up with the same things, and sometimes an idea is just not that original,
right? Well,
but it was weird. I just read a book, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Have you read this?
No.
Okay, so just short premise. It's a woman who grows up in France in the 1800s. If you've read it, you're probably getting mad at me because I'm getting it wrong. Anyways, she makes a deal with some kind of god, like an old god, and she doesn't age. So she spends and it comes into the present time. So she lives through these, decades and through history, and she never ages and nobody remembers her. And then, so I read that and I was like, and it was a good book. I recommend it. It's really fun to read. And then I was thinking, why does this sound so familiar? And then there was a movie that I saw that was listed on Netflix for recommended for you called The Age of Adeline.
Yes. Same
name. Kind of the same premise,
right.
A lot of differences, but same premise, same name.
Oh wait, is the same name? What was the book called?
Adeline. No. I mean, the main character was both named Adeline.
Was the movie based on the book?
No, I looked it up, and they were totally years apart, created, And so I'm wondering, like, and I can't remember which one came second, probably the book. But I'm like, did they like see this and like it went into their head, or
right?
Or did a friend talk about like this idea or this movie they saw, and she's like, that would be a good book. And then years later, or was it just like spontaneous, like these two like really cool ideas?
Yeah, you never know.
Or there's like like an Adeline ghost idea floating around, jumping into people's head.
That's what she calls. So she calls it. She cites multiple discovery. So multiple people in different places come up with the same solution, like geometry. I don't know. There's all this documented.
I think the human brain is like so remarkable that like you can't just discount that the brain just came up with it. You know?
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know, but idea ghosts. That's creepy.
What's that?
It's a little
creepy. The ghost ideas.
Yeah.
The idea ghost. Okay.
Yeah. Are they like? Do we have an atmosphere like hovering above us of ghosts? Are you going to make the quilt I've been thinking about?
I think there is. Personally, I'm just
okay. Let's see. So a few months from now, if you make a quilt and I'm like, I was thinking about doing something like that, then we'll know. And I will come back here and be like, Johnny, you stole my idea.
It's kind of like the quilt you just submitted, but not exactly, but sort of.
I stole your idea.
No, I probably stole yours. Because I saw your post of your quilt before I saw it at QuiltCon. But
try one like that. It was really fun.
All right.
Anyways.
Okay, have we talked about that enough? Like QuiltCon?
Sure, yeah. I think, like I said, I feel like I'm ready to I've been in QuiltCon, at QuiltCon, processing QuiltCon.
And now you're going to a funeral.
Now I'm going to a funeral.
Oh, that'll be perfect. Because it's like death,
it's closure,
celebration,
and it's interesting because it's a funeral of my grandmother. And
I'm sorry, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We were when I was little. Okay. She kind of helped raise me, but she's had Alzheimer's for the last 10 years. So it really hasn't been her.
Worst thing ever. Worst thing ever.
It is the cruelest thing on earth, isn't it? It is so cruel. But anyways, she is kind of like, she was the quilter in the family. Mm. And so isn't it interesting? So it is kind of like a closure of.
Did you learn from her?
No, she never taught me.
Okay, I think I saw that. I did see that. You posted that, right?
No, I did, didn't I?
Okay. I thought so.
Yeah. No, she never taught me because I wasn't interested until I was a grown up. Right. And so by that time she was kind of gone.
Yeah.
But one of my early memories is just like lying on her, carpet, and she and her sisters, they had a quilt frame that stretched the living room, and they're all on different couches, and I'm there and I'm just like watching the shadows of their hands and the needles come in and out, and their little yappy dog.
Yeah, same exactly. Yeah, my grandma and her sister, they lived, their backyards connected. They had, I think their houses. My grandma lived on my aunt lived on the corner. Grandma lived on the next house over. So Aunt Erna was always over there. Yeah. And they did tied hundreds of thousands of quilts. So I have her quilt frames now.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I really love it. I'm probably
gonna start that memory from so many people.
Oh, so many people.
We like our grandmother's generation is like the ones that did that.
It's interesting too because I had a guy reach out on Facebook that I'm just Facebook friends with. He goes, "Hey, will you teach me to quilt?" So him and his husband came over last night, and they both said, if I'm honest, I've always wanted to do this, but I just never dared or something. Yeah. So I just think it's so great.
And you guided them into doing that.
Well, I think they're going to get going. Yeah, we did. Good. We worked on some denim last night. Okay. Tore apart some denim.
That's a brave way to start.
Oh.
Denim scares me.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
I just said it's cheap and easy. Like.
Yeah. No, that's true. Actually, my kids go through pants like so fast. Yeah. I should turn those into quilts.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. There you go. If you don't, send them to me.
I will. We've got time.
Okay. Do you have any quilts from your grandma?
Yeah, she made quilts for my kids, for the older ones. Mm-hmm. So I've got those stored away. And then at my mom's house where I'm going right now, or tomorrow, there's a bunch in the closet.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna bring some home maybe, or do you have enough quilts in your life? I don't know how you're.
I don't have enough carry-on room.
Oh, carry-on room. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd buy another suitcase. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. What are you reading / watching / or listening to right now?
Okay, so I just finished reading the Ivy LaRue book.
Okay.
I just started a Jodi Picoult novel. Is that how you say her name? I'm not sure. She writes popular novels.
I know that name.
They're usually like there's a little legal stuff in there. This one's really interesting. It's about a death of a girl who is transgender and whether she was killed because she was transgender. So it was a really, really interesting read. And she co-authors it with a transgender author.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, so her co-author is a woman, and who's writing the perspective of this girl, and so it's really interesting because there's so much, I think, personal in there, and also so much like, this is what I want people to understand.
Yeah.
So it was really educational for me. Anyways, I'm just getting into it, but it's really good.
I love that. I don't like that that's such a huge issue in our society right now. I think it's ridiculous, but my dad, though, so quick side note, maybe we'll get your take on transgender as well. Okay. But my dad, we went for a ride taking him for Christmas dinner, I think, or something. Anyway, he's like, so what's this deal? What's going on with this? And I said, Dad, like, and I have several friends that are transgender, and I've talked to of several of them, but overall, I just said, you know what? That is not any of my business. Yeah. Like, that is their experience. They're the ones having the experience. Right. They're the ones telling us they're having that experience. So maybe we should just listen to them and believe them. Yeah. Like, let's remember that whole thing, believe women earlier? Right. Yeah. Maybe just believe people. Maybe just believe people when they talk about their own life experience. Their own, like how they exist in the world. Their own personal life experience. Yeah. So I saw that on TikTok today as well. This guy said, you know the answer? That person is having that issue, and they are a person living with us on this planet. Yeah. So they get to have their experience. Right. So anyway, I think that's like where we think about, like, okay, so who am I? What are like my core values? Yeah. And how do I want to respond to that? Yeah. Like, how do I want to respond to this person who, this is who they are. This is who they are saying. Yeah. And this is them telling us this is who I am. Right. I'm just going to believe them. Yeah. That's all my job is to do. Believe them. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Is that same with you? Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like, we all, like, if we think about all of the millions of things that make us unique from each other, like, why can't we accept that there's this one more thing? And I hate their, like, the demonizing of drag queens, especially. Yeah. That's really bugging me. Well, I mean, for me, I'm just so angry that, like, that you have these groups that are creating panic, organized panic, and then tell other people in other states how to have this same panic. Right. And so I'm a huge political science wonk. This is what my undergraduate degree is. So I follow politics like you're... No. Keep going. I am not super into politics, and I'm always worried. I'm like, don't get too political, Johnny. Don't talk religion or politics. Don't talk politics, No. It's funny. This is my podcast. I'll talk about what I want. You can talk about whatever you want. I know. So in our house, it's really like everything is on the table, because my husband's a professor of religious history and I am fascinated by politics, and my degree is in political science. Yeah. So religion and politics is all we talk about. Anyway, so I've been following the legislative session, which just ended. And yeah. Eye roll. Sorry, that was an eye roll for you. Worst. I'm so glad it's over. I'll do the eye roll with a head motion. But it's so interesting to see, like, the trends that, like, these lawmakers think that they're having this unique idea about, like, the threat of books and libraries and transgender. No, you're not having a unique idea. Exactly. Sorry, I'm getting on a soapbox here. No. You got this idea from another state, from a group that has organized to put these issues on the ballot to scare people. Yeah. Let's look at, like, No, you're good. I just watched a movie. And you're going to want to know what it's called. And probably other people do. But you can't remember. I can't remember. Okay. It'll come to me in 5 minutes. What's it about? It's about a group of people that... Oh, I watched Footloose. That's what it was. The original Footloose. I thought you were going to say, like, a documentary. No, yeah. No, Footloose. I watched Footloose. Yeah. Filmed in Utah. That's right. Demonizing dancing, of all things. Demonizing music. Yeah. And finally, the preacher comes to his senses and all that stuff. And they dance. But the people were burning books, why are we burning books? I don't know. And like, I feel like 10 years ago, the idea of, like, burning books being like a thing in America, everyone would be like, that's absurd. I know. And now here we are, burning books. Here we are, 2023. Wait, what year is it? It's 23, right? Sure. 2023. Yeah, that sounds like anyway. Here we are. Still 2020. People still wanting to burning books. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Stop it. Just stop with your burning books. Stop being ridiculous. Can we just love each other? Let's just love each other. Can we just love? It's not hard. Kindness. Yeah. It's just all like the kindness. Yes. All right. Yeah, so that's what I thank you for that. Getting back to that question. I like that. And I've just started watching The Last of Us, which I have been, like, struggling through because it's so tense. I haven't watched any. It's very good. Do you have to know anything about the video game to watch the movie?
I didn't even know it was a video game.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it. I keep seeing some really good people commenting or whatever posts about it.
Well, I kept seeing like comments about episode 3 with Nick Offerman, who I love.
Love him.
Oh my gosh, it was such a good episode. It was such a good episode. But now we're back to the like zombie fungus killing thing.
It's fine.
And so I don't know. But apparently they're heading for Salt Lake City, which is nearby. So I want to see like
apocalyptic. Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. So I guess the next like episode or maybe more take place in post-apocalyptic Salt Lake City. So
coming soon. Yeah. Coming soon to a city near you.
Yeah.
All right. I really want to talk about what you talked about at QuiltCon, but is now appropriate time or should we do that at the end?
I think it's appropriate. I think there's never an inappropriate time.
So you gave how many lectures did you give?
This year I gave one.
Just one lecture?
Yes.
And what was the title of that lecture?
So it was called Inclusion by Design.
Okay.
I think it had a subtitle, but I can't remember it.
That's fine.
Something about like radical reimagining, because what I wanted to do is have more of a conversation, a guided conversation about inclusion, how we are experiencing it in the modern quilt community, how we are not, and kind of what the barriers are, and then have kind of a reimagining session, because I love creative people.
Yeah.
I feel like we think so far outside the box. And when we do that, like anything's possible. So you take that in combination with the fact that modern quilting is so young.
Yeah.
Like we come from traditional quilting, but I feel like we're still so young and subversive that we can rebuild however we want.
Right.
Like we can remake our community, the movement, like how we want it to be.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what my lecture was about. And so it was informed by comments and conversations I've had. I do Quilt Guild lectures, and something I talked about at QuiltCon last year was appropriation. How to use your culture, how to think about culture, but what is appropriation versus appreciation. And I've just had some really great conversations about culture and diversity. And so that kind of informed this lecture. And I also put out a survey, which I got like some really fantastic responses and data from. And so that kind of
I think I saw your survey.
Yeah. Did you take it?
I don't know. I've been kind of drowning the last 2 months.
Fair enough. So then I'm glad you didn't take it.
Yeah. Let's just say I didn't.
That's okay. That's fine. Yeah.
I think actually
plenty of people did.
I meant to share about it too, but even that didn't happen, I don't think.
It's all right. I got what I needed. It was really good information. Really good information. Yeah, so that's I just love to talk about it. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been interesting to watch. I have friends from all over, you know, and it's been interesting for me to watch people from the dominant. How's the best way to say this?
Just say it. We're all friends here.
It's interesting to see how people that are white, Judeo-Christian, heteronormative, whatever, react to anything that isn't that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So that's what's kind of bugged me a couple times. I've been like, why are you bugged by that? Like, why are you bothered that this is a thing, you know? And there's been weirdness. I always try to just remind myself that everyone's doing the best they can. Even that person who is whatever, if they're causing more of a stir than they need to or whatever. I'm talking about someone who is going against what you're talking about. Does that make sense? Totally. Fighting against the... Which,
and you do find this, look, and this is what I talk about in my lecture, quilting is built on structures of white supremacy. It just is. Yeah. It's becomes something that you have to be able to access financially, that you have to, for a long time, you had to be able to be included in guilds, to have that community, to have access to show your quilts. And think about cotton, like in the first place, like cotton, cotton. Anyways.
Is your name Sean?
Kimber?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've always never knew that's how it's presented. Pronounced.
Because I've heard it Sean and Shawnee.
Anyway.
Sure.
So Sean Kimber has a quilt that says, actually, I am a cotton picker or whatever it says. I can't remember. I have a picture of it. And I haven't made a post about it yet. But so she's African-American and she makes these amazing quilts that are they're so well done.
Yeah.
I love her techniques. They're so well done, but she's also definitely making a statement.
Yes.
And
I think it's an important statement.
It definitely is.
Because I think it's so easy to have blinders to how people have been excluded from arts. And African Americans, a lot of African American quilters, their quilts get dismissed as craft, especially if they use African prints. And so they're excluded from this art conversation, which is absurd.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And so it was really, really cool this year because the Modern Quilt Guild is making such an effort. And full disclosure, I am now co-chair of the IDEA, which is kind of the Diversity and Inclusion Board of the MQG. So I'm not. So now that I am I'm not responsible for anything.
We should have just kidding. Full disclosure now. Okay.
But so I'm not tooting my own horn because I'm new to this. It was the previous leadership and people.
You have a horn to toot, so you can toot that horn as much as you want.
So it was so inclusive this year.
Yeah,
it was amazing, wasn't it? Because it was in Atlanta, and they really tried to kind of pay homage to the community and the culture of where it was the same thing when it was in Phoenix.
Yeah,
there's some great indigenous work and lectures there. Yeah, it was really cool to see so many quilters of color, so many Black quilters, so many Black teachers and lectures, and focuses on those arts. But I think there was also some discomfort and some pushback, and even from my lecture, I
love that there was discomfort.
I was talking to the executive director of the MQG after my lecture, and I think it was her that told me that a few people had marched out in a huff during my lecture.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, and she's totally fine with that, right? I was like, am I fired? But no, she's totally fine with that. But just good.
Yeah.
Good. I want to make people uncomfortable because that's when we start thinking.
If it was me, I'd be like, oh, but since it's you, I'm like, yes.
Since it didn't happen to you.
It didn't happen to me.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love
for a brief moment, I felt bad. And then I'm like, why am I feeling bad about this?
This is the reason I'm doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the reason.
And it's not like I've ever come into this knowing that everyone is going to be 100% on board.
Right.
And I always come into it knowing that I'm going to push things past the point of comfort.
Yeah. Because
that's where conversation starts, right?
I saw, this is pivoting a little bit towards gender.
Yeah.
But I saw around that time in Pasadena, and there was I don't know if there's a lot of men featured or something. I don't know. Something about male quilters.
There was some kind of exhibit, I thought, or something.
There's something weird.
I can't remember.
I just remember people oh, just because you're a man, you just got all you had to do say you're a man to get in or something. I was like, all right.
Yeah, you already stand out.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I don't know, but I definitely know that I'm on the outside. You know what I mean? Not on the outside. How do I say this? I'm white male, so that puts me in a already whatever bracket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't always know how to access or my as being a queer quilter, I don't really focus on that very much. But I don't know. You know what I mean?
It's such an interesting conversation, isn't it?
Right.
Because that's definitely a thing. Where people are like, oh man, they don't have to try as hard, and because they're men, they're unicorns, they're so special, and so they get attention, right? At the same time, I feel this, and I know other people feel this, that there's also an excitement to have men quilt, that men are quilting, that we're seeing kind of this diversity, and yay, that means
I just love the diversity of any kind.
I do too, man.
Anyone, we need to be embracing and supporting any of that. I feel that that now, is diversifying.
Where it's a problem, and where I've seen a problem, and I'm not naming names, but sometimes there are white male quilters, and they come in and they get the spotlight, and then they mansplain quilting to everyone else. Okay. You don't do this. I'm not naming names, but you know who you are.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about, but I don't know how you mansplain quilting. Okay.
That's no. Yeah. So
they know who you are. I'm just taking off my shoes. No, don't mind me over here.
No, just get comfortable.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my hiking shoes.
Okay, so there's a blizzard outside, and he just went hiking with his dogs like a crazy person.
Well, we usually go at 4:30. So when you said you're coming at 6 or whatever time you're coming before, I think anyway. So we would have been done with our hike, but then when you change the time, the doggies need to get out.
Yeah.
But they loved it. It was great. Okay, sorry about that. It's okay. Thank you for telling me about your QuiltCon thing.
Yeah. No, I'm always interested in pushing the envelope and talking about these things because if we don't acknowledge like where the barriers and inequalities exist, like we can't fix it. And there are a lot of inequalities in quilting. Yeah.
So I'm just going to share with you. I would love to have more people of diversity on here on my podcast.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
If
That'd be
you
awesome.
wouldn't mind helping me connect people,
absolutely,
I would love that.
Yeah,
I've reached out to a few people and I haven't heard anything back, but it's just getting started. It's fine. Yeah. So I definitely want more diversity on my podcast.
And there's so many quilters from like, and when we talk about diversity, like race and gender and sexuality and like just so much. There's so much. Like interesting people out there.
And that's also why I want to do this podcast is so that more people can so people can tell their story. That's what I'm hoping is to have more people tell their story.
I'm a fan of that.
All right.
That's awesome.
And I think that I've worded these questions kind of weird. So maybe I don't need to word them anyway, I'm going to just ask you a question.
Okay.
So how long have you been quilting? When did you first start quilting?
I started quilting just before my oldest was born. So it's been about 16 years.
Okay.
We were living in Egypt at the time. I know, Cairo. And like you do.
Naturally, we're living in Cairo.
Yes.
Fine.
And I couldn't work because I didn't have a work visa. So I was just like, I was bored. I was pregnant. I was nesting. And then like one day I just like went with some friends and we went to a fabric market. And it was the most incredible place.
I'm sure it was
if you
bonkers.
can picture like heaven in fabric, it was
like that angel thing you did earlier.
It's like you turn a corner and there's like an endless street and there's bolts of fabric from floor to beyond ceiling, and there's these guys that would like climb the bolts of fabric to get the one you want.
Oh my god!
So cool. So I started buying fabric, and after a while, my husband was like, "So what are you gonna do with this?"
Hey, I see there's a lot of fabric around here.
You don't know how to sew. So what's going on? Anyway, so I told him I wanted to learn how, and he went back to the U.S. for a conference or something, and came back with a sewing machine in the carry-on.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and so
what a guy.
I know he's the best. I love him. So I just kind of taught myself and have been doing it ever since. So almost 16 years. Probably.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have anything favorite about the last time in quilting? Like anything that stands out as like a favorite memory
of quilting?
Yeah, or a favorite quilt or a favorite project. I know it's like asking about your kids or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite.
All right.
Whatever I'm working on is usually my favorite. I get very excited about what I'm doing.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the question I've been asking us. Is there a specific event that you noticed that kind of was helping with your mental health?
So I've always been on the quilting as my therapy train, right? Because it really is like that's how I, that's how I express myself. That's how I decompress. That's how I can like be mindless and mindful. But it wasn't until I think this year and starting school that I really started thinking about it, because now the nice thing about social work, or at least the program I'm in, is they take self-care as like a professional obligation.
Okay.
So it's not, and they're like, we're not talking about, going and painting your nails and taking a bubble bath. All of that stuff is fantastic, and I'm a big fan.
Right.
But the fact that as a therapist, you're carrying hard things.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of, trauma that you're taking in. And I learned this the hard way, the first few months, it's really hard to process. It's hard to bring that home and not like bring it home,
right.
And so, especially our first semester, there's really this hammering in of developing your self-care practice, developing your kind of processing what you go through at work. And so I decided to use quilting as my self-care process. And so I've always like shied away from any kind of handwork, because I am, I quilt as fast as I talk. I just like to get things done. You
know what I say about that, right?
What?
If the good Lord wanted us to sew with our hands, she wouldn't have given us a machine.
I love that. Amen. Hallelujah. Yeah.
It is good for you.
It is good for you.
So
so I decided to take a step back and work on handwork this year.
Nice.
And it's been nice. Okay. Yeah. So I'm using it to kind of process. And I've found that that's helped with my mental health and kind of my stress level. And I've also started a project where I'm processing some of the things that my teenagers are telling me or working through. Because there's something they will say that just, it sticks in your mind. It just like, it almost breaks you, know? And so I'm stitching those things onto a project right now.
Oh, nice.
It's really kind of helpful.
Like you're stitching the words they've said?
Some of it is the actual words. Some of it is kind of symbolic.
Okay.
So I'm using, color and shape to kind of.
Are you doing like embroidery?
I'm doing some embroidery.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind
nice.
of, it's very unusual for me because it's improv and handwork, the two things that terrify me.
She's like, I don't like improv.
This is very uncomfortable for me.
Oh, good.
So yeah, but it's been a really good kind of self-care process.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, I guess that leads to our other question. What do you do for self-care?
Manicures and bubble baths.
And bubble baths.
No.
Massages.
Yes. No, quilting is pretty much my self-care. Yeah. I like to read. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Quilting.
Cool.
Yeah.
I still have a weird disconnect, but it's fine. I'm going to get over it.
What's the disconnect?
Well, I love it, but I have a hard time doing it. Why is that?
Is it the starting?
Maybe. I have a million projects here that I could just work on.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something weird about
the thing is you have a space. I know for a lot of people, it's like getting stuff out and starting is the big hurdle.
Yes.
But I don't know.
But I think that's probably true here because I if you saw the piles that are around here, not on camera.
It's amazing.
I just feel like, and when I work too, like I will just pull things out and it's like,
explosion.
Yeah, explosion. And then when someone comes over, I have to tuck it all back away.
Do you?
Maybe not.
I mean, that's the beauty of having a space.
My beliefs are that I do if I'm going to have a guest in my room. Maybe I should have a little sign on the door that says this is my studio and that's going to look like one.
Just call it your creative space.
This is my creative space. It's going to look like one. Space. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. Have you ever seen an artist studio? There's paint and canvas everywhere. Why are you different?
Yeah. So I do still have a lot of self-judgment about how much fabric I have.
Why?
Because I feel like it's kind of hoarding-ish,
Yeah.
And that stack up there, that's all those pre-cuts.
But it's so pretty. I hate opening up a pack of pre-cuts.
I know, me too.
They're so it'll never look as good.
I know. I have a big stack of cotton and steel basics too.
Yeah, but you'll always use those.
I know, but I haven't cut into them yet.
All right, I know.
Anyway, but my sister tells me all the time, "Hey, you're an artist. These are your paints.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
These are your tools. Man.
Dill, pickle.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, quit with the judgment.
I know. Stop it. Okay.
We're all in favor of this, right? Everyone in favor?
Everyone in favor. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you working on right now? You brought something. I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, because I always like having something to work on the plane. And so, nice. So the hand project. Okay, so back to QuiltCon. I went to a lecture by Karen Lewis. Lewis Textiles.
Yes.
And she prints her own fabrics. She does screen printing. And so I thought, well, this is something I've never tried, and I can't because there's an entry barrier there, right? I don't want to buy the equipment, have that big screen, and be like, whoosh, whoosh, or whatever they do.
Yeah.
So she has this great lecture and she's like, you can do this at home with materials you probably already have. And I'm like, probably not. Yeah, I was like, that's nice to say. But then she showed us just using an embroidery hoop and some organza or gauze or whatever. And so I went home really excited and I made stencils and I did it.
You did it?
It's amazing.
Did you bring some?
I did.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I did a whole series of, so Mexican American.
Love.
Yeah, check these out. So I did a whole series of these stencils of these stylized Mexican lottery cards. And this is just one of them. So this is a block that I'm playing with.
Okay, what's a Mexican lottery card?
Have you ever played Loteria?
No.
Okay, so.
I'm white as they are.
Oh, we'll have to play sometimes. So it's like bingo. It's Mexican bingo. And there's these iconic figures that are on all the bingo cards.
Oh my God.
And so as a child, I did this constantly with my grandma, the one who just passed away. We would play every night when we were at her house. We used to use pinto beans to mark off which ones, we had gotten called. And then we'd win pennies from this jar. So anyways,
I just need to give people more detail about this.
Yeah, so I used gold screen printing ink. And
gold
I printed.
Ink. And how did you do the stencil then?
So I cut it on my Cricut.
Oh,
yeah. And then I used little tweezers and tweezed it onto an embroidery hoop. And then.
So she's got the pepper. Is this Essex linen?
I use Essex linen.
The Essex linen.
Everything.
I know, me too.
I use it for everything.
I buy it by the bolt.
I know, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Look at that though. That gold is so amazing.
So this is my test block because eventually I'll make a whole quilt. It's going to be a million colors because I'm all about colors.
Yeah.
But this one, so what I'm thinking is for every block. I'm going to do this. It's printed. I'm going to do embroidery on the edge.
I see what this is. That says like a...
Oh, yeah. You see a little dove. That's right. I drew it on.
Are you going to embroider that?
I think so. So I think I'm going to big stitch it. I'm going to be adding like some kind of big stitch hand quilting to it. And then I'm doing embroidery because this thing here is supposed to be like a little altar, a little ofrenda. If you've ever seen like kind of a decorative altar. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing some like, there we go. I'm like,
I know it's upside down backwards.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing kind of some embroidery.
Oh, nice.
So we'll see how it goes. That's kind of my project for the plane.
Okay, say that word again. Ofrenda.
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 Yeah. So it's like a little altar.
What do they call the big altars? Like
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who his husband.
An ofrenda?
Well, thanks. He lives in Las Vegas, and his husband like does ofrenda competitions.
Oh, cool! I've heard of
these. And wins.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to see pictures.
I'll have to find him and send it to you.
I bet they're incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so seeing that, it just kind of made me really happy. Yeah. I also love screen printing, and I also don't do it because of the same reason.
It's like I feel like there's like so much to.
Well,
even with the embroidery hoop, it was kind of a I had to like lay everything out on my cutting mat and
So I took a screen printing class. I lived in Denver, and I loved it because it was just like a little studio, and they're still there, in Denver. But I just love it.
Yeah.
It's so neat. It's
really cool to see like an image you make like come out.
Yeah.
Like, when I first lifted off the stencil, like I think I put this on my Instagram, like a video of it. It was the first one I did, only like a couple of lines came out, and I was like, crap. So I just moved the fabric over. The second one came out like almost perfect.
That's
and, like,
really neat.
Like the satisfaction was so nice.
Yeah.
So
are they all going to be gold ink like that? Oh my!
They're all like gold ink on very like different saturated colors.
Yeah.
I call them my Mexican colors. I work with them a lot. Work with the same ones a lot. And yeah, each one a different card. So,
oh my gosh!
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I'm excited.
Me too.
That's really neat.
I love starting a new project, and I think this one's gonna be good.
I love starting a new project too.
Yeah,
I could do it right now.
It's so exciting. You should do it. Let's do it right now.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna kind of wrap up a little bit.
All right.
We might track a little bit more, but that's fine. Okay. I asked the question: is there a cause or I think that's a good way to word it, right? If there's a cause, is there a cause that you are passionate about that if everyone here donated $1, where would you want that to go to?
Well, there are a lot of causes I'm passionate about, so narrowing it down. But right now, my passionate cause is Zootah because they're having a fundraiser, so it's on my mind.
Okay.
So Zootah is this teeny tiny zoo in Logan, the city that I live in. I was telling Johnny, I'm convinced that the animals are just animals that animal control has like trapped and rescued because it's mostly like ducks, and there's a raccoon that we think might be stuffed because it never moves and it's always in the same place. His name is Frank the raccoon. Yeah, so it's always like,
oh, so it's like not really a zoo, but it's more like a taxidermy exhibit.
I mean, it could be. But we love it. And my 6-year-old, she is their biggest fan. Willa, my 6-year-old, is in a wheelchair. She has cerebral palsy. And they have been like the most welcoming and accommodating place. She goes to zoo camp with them every year and absolutely loves it. So I always try to support them, but they're having a fundraiser right now. But here's the cool thing. I know you can donate $1. Go donate $1. But check this out. So the other day, I donated $25.
Okay.
And it turns out that at that level, you can sponsor an animal and be like its adopter for $25.
So
cool.
Do you have your own animal yet?
We have our own animal.
Okay, tell us all about it.
We chose Bix. Bix is a lynx.
Bix the lynx.
Bix the lynx. I don't like the name.
Oh, well,
It doesn't really, there's too many X's. But the reason is because we used to be terrified of Bix. I say we, I mean my 6-year-old.
Okay.
And then one day she decided to be brave. And so she rolled up to him and she meowed at him. And he rose his head and he meowed back at her.
Oh my gosh.
And ever since then, they have these conversations. And he doesn't really meow. It's more like a but like she'll do it back to him. And they like,
that's adorable.
It's really cool. So when I told her that we were now Bix's sponsors, man, she was over the moon.
She lit up.
So so she's going to have her name on the website as Bix's sponsor, and they send us a certificate and a stuffed animal.
Oh my!
$25. You can sponsor an animal. You can sponsor Frank the raccoon.
I challenge you.
They can send you a stuffed Frank because that's what he is.
So if you're listening, I challenge you to go sponsor an animal and tell us what it is.
Or here's another cool thing. I can't say enough. They also have an auction right now. I don't know when it ends.
Okay.
You can buy paintings that the animals have done.
Are you?
And the bids are like $20. Isn't that cool?
I have a friend.
Cool.
Do you know Erica? You know
I
Erica?
don't think so. I don't know any Ericas.
Erica, you don't know Erica?
I don't know Erica.
Okay, anyway, I have this friend Erica. She loves buying paintings off of like Etsy.
Yeah.
Like just the coolest.
Like original art.
Yeah, she has a ton of original art.
I love that.
So that's why my house is kind of in transformation. I want my house to look like her house.
Yeah.
But anyway, I kind of want to check out the original art.
You should check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, bearded dragons are like surprisingly good at art.
Are they?
Yeah, the monkeys are disappointing though.
The monkeys are disappointing. You think with all that, whatever they'd have.
I mean, like the monkey intelligence, right? No. And the geese didn't even try. Like, didn't even make it.
So
they were phoning it in.
Phoning geese, come on.
Come on, up your game, geese. But go to Zootown's website.
Geese,
you can sponsor an animal.
Okay.
Buy some animal art.
I'll put a link in the comments section here. Or whatever it is on Facebook. Or
YouTube.
YouTube.
Donate so we can have a live raccoon someday.
Yes. I've seen several. I had a family of raccoons living in my house.
Did you?
It could have been great.
I called 911 on a raccoon once.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was a burglar. I was really paranoid.
That's a funny story.
It was not at the time.
I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't as amused when I had 6 raccoons living in my ceiling either.
Oh,
so
your ceiling?
It was in the attic in the crawl space or whatever.
Were you afraid they were gonna like drop out?
Yeah, I didn't want anyone to come visit me in the house, so
because it would be like really awful for the rest of your friendship to be like, I'm sorry about the raccoon, man.
Yeah.
Like, how are you feeling?
I pushed them out with some ammonia.
The friends or the raccoons?
The raccoons.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. That was good.
Yeah.
I really like you.
I'm you too.
So glad you came down.
It's really nice to talk to you for more than like 2 minutes.
I know.
Yeah. Because we have like cross paths for like 2 minutes at a time in so many different places.
Yeah. We didn't talk about you getting my quilt in that exhibit, but that's another part.
Oh, yeah.
Past and done. It's fine. There'll be another one.
I love that quilt.
It's so sweet.
That's funny. I was just talking to my co-curator. We did an exhibit at a museum. And we were just talking about how we need to do a new exhibit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'll help.
Okay.
Tell me how I can help.
Get on board. We're going to do it.
Is there a board that I can actually get on?
There's no board.
Okay.
No. Just like 2 crazy ones.
How'd you get on the MGQ board? Or how was it?
It's
Modern
the Modern Quilt Guild.
MQ.
It's the IDEA, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility. It was because one year the instructor list for QuiltCon came out, and I emailed the MQG immediately after with the subject line "QuiltCon So White."
Love it.
And I was like, "What is this about?" Next thing I know, I got a Zoom invite for the DEI committee, and I was on it.
All right.
Yeah. So I started doing work with that, and it's just been wonderful.
Cool. You've been on the committee then?
So I've been on the committee for a few years.
Okay.
And it's nice because DEI is usually just like, and I say this in my lecture, just like broad brush, like attempts.
What's DEI?
So diversity, equity, and inclusion. So you'll find this in like corporations or businesses,
right,
or academics. They start a DEI committee to address structural injustices.
Right.
But honestly, it's really just kind of a corporate cover your butt.
Yeah.
It's usually like minorities that get put on this board and have to do the work that never actually gets implemented.
Right.
So it's a lot of surface level kind of painting over and saying like, "Woo, we did good, we're diverse." But with the MQG, there's like real buy-in from the board of directors, from the community. So it's really fun because it feels like we have ideas and they happen.
Nice.
And then you have QuiltCon Atlanta, and you're seeing the fruits of it.
Right.
You know, so. Anyway, so our chair of the board and the co-chairs of the board just moved up. They are now on the board of directors as the president and vice president, both Black women, both amazing people. I love them so much. Nice. And so, so now me and another quilter, Kimberly Benenfield, Black Quilt
I know
Diva.
her.
Isn't she amazing?
Yeah, we were on something together.
Oh, cool. Okay, so now we're co-chairs of it.
Nice.
Yeah, and I just get to be in awe of her because she's so cool.
That's awesome.
So cool. Yeah.
Really cool.
She had quilted Air Jordans.
I saw.
Weren't they amazing?
Didn't she win something?
I don't know. Did she win something?
She won. She just won something with those.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
A design. Sorry, I'm friends with her on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't remember the award that she won. I'll also include that in the notes.
Yeah,
section.
please do. And you've got to check out her stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But quilted Air Jordans, come on. Well, that's why I love quilt coats right now, because they're just so whatever. So my pink one that I was wearing.
So cool.
So I was wearing that walking back.
And you said you had like just finished sewing it at one of the booths?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The Juki booth.
Okay.
Putting the binding on.
Nice.
It looks terrible. It's fine.
It looks good to me.
But I was walking through Atlanta. And I walked past this group of young people that were all black, all working at this, not all black, but predominantly. And they're all working at this little place. And I walked by and this guy goes, "Oh, fire, dude." I'm like, yes.
You feel so good.
Yeah, I was like, thank you. I mean, I really do want
to.
I really do want to design streetwear.
Yeah.
Have you watched do you watch much clothing design competitions?
I love Project Runway, and I just started last week Next in Fashion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just a few episodes into the first season. Do
you have HBO? Okay, they have one on there that's called The Hype.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's all streetwear.
Oh, that's really cool.
cool.
And there's so much quilting and streetwear.
Oh yeah, so much.
Really
there's so much patchwork.
Yeah.
Like the people that are on there, like the stuff they're making, I'm like, and that's why I love it right now too. Is
it's gonna be
that's why I love quilting as well, because it's just taking. I mean, I love that quilting's getting that moment. Right now, let's hope it lasts.
Right, I hope it lasts.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I mean, fashion is like one day you're in, the next day you're out.
That's right. Thanks.
But yeah.
Thanks, Heidi.
Yeah, thanks. You're welcome. I always have Tim Gunn in my head when I'm designing, saying, "Edit."
Wait, have you watched all the old ones? Did you watch it for a long time?
Oh yeah, I watched every single one.
Remember the one that was? I always have to talk about this whenever I see people. But remember Andre? Hey, thank you. Wasn't the best? Andre, what's happening with Andre?
Best voice ever.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so if you're a Project Runway fan, love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fun.
Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. I love it so much.
This is great.
You're really a beautiful human.
Oh, thank you. So are you.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm really I appreciate you sharing your voice. And I appreciate you sharing as much as you do.
Yeah.
As much as you're doing. So
and I love that you share your platform. And right now I love that we're sharing idea ghosts.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna log out and we're gonna share some idea ghosts later on.
Yep.
All right, thank you everyone. Love you. If you haven't subscribed already. If you haven't already, go follow Melissa over on Quilt All the Things _. Yep. Okay. All right, you're the best.
You put Quilt All Things. It's Quilt All the
things. Son of a nutcracker!
You're the worst typer.
Well, you were I don't have my glasses on.
Oh, I'm sorry. No one else.
Oh my gosh!
I could type for you.
Shapoopy. Oh my gosh.
I wonder if there's a Quilt All Things.
Oh, you better go nab it if there is.
I know I should. That and Quilt All the Thongs.
Hold on, let me get that one.
There's your new project.
So quick side note.
Are you going to tell me I actually made quilted thongs?
No, there's a guy that makes crocheted jock straps.
That seems like it'd be really comfortable.
Jock straps. I'm like, all right,
I
whatever.
mean, that sounds cozy.
All right.
Not moisture wicking.
I'm gonna have to go back and edit Quilt All the Things. I'm so sorry. Quilt All the Things.
No, it's
people.
Okay. How dare you? I'm never coming back.
I hope you come back. Will you come back?
No, totally.
This would be so fun.
Yeah.
Really, thank you.
No, I'm serious.
All right, we'll talk. Okay. Be kind. That's all.
See ya.
Be kind to one another.
Be
it's
kind.
Not hard.